Good evening. Welcome to Tucson Tabernacle as we celebrate the life, the memories of our sister Olga and the family. If you'll stand with me, I would like to read from the book of Psalms, chapter 16, just a couple verses 5, 6, and verses 11, if they'll put those up and you can follow them. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I thank God for his grace. You know, we might consider ourselves nothing, but he considered you worth giving his life for. Psalm 16, the Lord is the portion of mine inheritance and of my cup. Thou maintainest my lot. The lines are fallen unto me in pleasant places. Yea, I have a goodly heritage. And verse 11. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. If we'll just bow our heads. Lord, we've come as family and friends to honor, Lord, the life of our sister Olga, the memories, the precious times, the times we laughed, the times we cried, all part of life, Lord. Seeing her sons now and their families. Lord, you had Sister Olga in mind. You brought her in this time of life with her family and all, Lord. And today, Lord, we will speak of the goodness of God with her. Bring back precious memories and good times, Lord. We ask for your presence, your blessings, and your comfort. In Jesus Christ's name. That first verse. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Oh, it saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. The last verse, when we've been there. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. You may be seated for a moment. I thought back of when we first met, the Ramirez family. 1976, we moved to Tucson, and we rented the house right next door to them for about a couple months. How old were you then, Israel, in 76? How old? 9. He was young. I was 16. It's a precious memories living next to him for a few months and watch the boys grow up. So may God bless you. May God comfort you as you take this time with the precious memories of your mother. So whichever one of you is going to take the service from here, you're welcome to come up now.
Just want to thank everyone that's came. We do appreciate it. My mom loved you all. Thank you, Sammy, for playing, and Priscilla. We appreciate you. I was doing okay until you started playing. All right. So Olga Ramirez was a caring wife, mother, grandmother, sister, and friend. She passed away suddenly on August 16th, 2021, at the age of 77. She was born in Guamuchi, Sinaloa, Mexico, in 1944. Her parents were Juan and Tomasa Gagiola. She had 8 siblings: Efren, Moses, Moises, Irma, Josue, Silvia, Mirna, Juan. She had moved to Nogales. She graduated from a secretarial academy in Nogales, Mexico. And of 19 years of age, she came to the United States with her mother. Her siblings came soon after. Before marriage, she spent time working as a nanny for the city manager of Tucson, caring for his daughter and their 7 sons, which gave her some anticipation of us 5, I guess. She was tough. She was raised in the apostolic faith and was introduced to her husband, my father, Danny Ramirez, through church friends while he was in the military. And during the Vietnam War, he was sent to Germany, but remained faithful in commuting with Olga while he was away, and they married shortly upon his return on April 15th, 1967, which incidentally is our wedding day. We had no idea, me and my wife, and actually, I don't know, tax day, but same day, April 15th, 1967. And Olga was blessed with 5 sons: Israel, Daniel, Samuel, Joshua, and Zion. Olga's faith and spirituality were evident in every aspect of her life. She translated many of the spoken word books in Spanish that were sent all over to Spanish-speaking countries all over the world. She was very proud of that. And her and my dad used to debate how the words were properly, but she'd win most of the time, of course. At the age of 55, she suffered a devastating loss of her husband to cancer. It was a few years before she was able to enjoy life again, but she found companionship with a neighbor who enjoyed walks, bike rides, and lunch out together. Olga married Andy Molina on November 2006. She was an avid flower picker and planter. She would constantly collect seeds on her walks and visits, and later plant them in her yard, or even where she walked, you could see the wildflowers where she'd have this little mile walk around the neighborhood, and everybody knew her. But she was always taking little plants from places. And she's always lively. She enjoyed singing and laughing at parties and family gatherings. She was always the life of the party, and she turned all her telling of funny stories into performances. I don't know if you ever seen my mom tell a joke or family stories, but it was amazing. So she very much loved her grandchildren as well. Family parties frequently ended with a request from Nana to have a photo with all her grandchildren. And her last days were spent resting and happy. She spent a lot of time trying to show the nurses how easy it was to learn Spanish. And I asked her if she knew what she was in the hospital for, and she's like, "No me mortifico, I don't sweat it. I'm sure the nurses are going to tell me when it's time to come home." And it's time to go, Mom. There's people that love you and waiting for you where you're going. Okay, I don't want to cry. She was fun. And my bros, I want to tell a story, just one story. My mom was a free spirit and a little bit of a rebel, a little vain. She knew what she could get away with. And if you knew my mom, you knew she wasn't a rule follower. So if she wanted to do her own things, that's what she would do. She was one of those people that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And she didn't sweat, minor rules and regulations. Some of the things that some of the signs she didn't like was, please don't pick the flowers. And she didn't like, no doggy bag sign at the buffet. That had nothing to do, it was for everybody else. So, in fact, any of you that are attending the luncheon tomorrow, we want you guys to steal a flower when we're not looking, and hopefully in her honor, okay? So the story is, my dad and mom went to Mexico, and they were there, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, and my dad was ready to come home. But my mom wasn't. So my mom says, let me have a few more days, honey, and then I'll come back with the cousins. So my dad grudgingly said, okay, a few days. So 2.5 weeks later, no sign of my mom anywhere, right? And I'm in the car with my dad, a little guy, and he's like, Danny Joe, when your mom comes home, we're gonna get a divorce. And I'm like, whoa, a divorce? I didn't know how to take it, but lo and behold, she finally shows up. Little lady coming to the door. She has no idea the kind of tongue lashing that my dad's about to give her. And so she pops open the door, or he pops open the door, he's standing there, and she's like, oh, mi amor. Big smile, and I'm watching my dad, and he's like, oh, mi reina. And it was hugs and kisses, like it was some kind of a military homecoming or something. And pretty much right there, I knew who was running the show. And, he never talked about it ever again, and I never said anything, but I knew who was running the show. So I will never be the same without our little parties and things that have, without love and her laughter and her fat jokes. A lot of them were at my expense, but I miss them already. Yes, sir. So thank you for coming. Those of you all here, those online, we certainly appreciate it. It was a wonderful life that she lived, so certainly appreciate it, all you coming, and thank you for giving me a little opportunity to say a little something. I believe what's next are just open oh, Christina, you're going to sing for us? Okay, wonderful. So, all right.
Consider the lilies, they don't toil nor spin, but there's not a king with more splendor than one. Consider the sparrow, they don't plant or sow, but they're fed by the master who watches them grow. We have a heavenly Father above, with eyes full of mercy and a heart full of love. He really cares when your head is bowed low. Consider the lilies, and then you will know. May I introduce you to this friend of mine who hangs out the stars, tells the sun when to shine.
very much. She absolutely loved that song. Now we're going to have my mom's siblings sing Face to Face. Are you ready? I appreciate it.
Face to face with Christ, my Savior. Face to face, what will it be? When with rapture I behold Him, Jesus Christ, who died for me. Face to face
Thank you very much, Irma. Okay, so at this time, we're going to have little personal tributes, starting with my lovely brothers. I guess starting with the youngest first. I know Israel has told us that he wants to do a little fact-checking and corrections on the end of the stories, so we'll let him go last. So Zion, are you here? Ready? I saw you. Use that mic, or do you want to come here?
It's a little hard not to see me these days. Welcome, everyone. Huh? Yeah, I need to come back more often, but Brother Russell, God bless you. Good to see you. For my mom, it's an honor and a privilege to be standing here, to be her son. I hear all the time people say, what an honor it was just to know her. But to know her deeper and to know her as a mother is an extreme privilege. To have a mother and a father like mine was, they were 1 in a million, 1 in a billion, maybe. I remember, just how consistent they were in their love. I don't believe I ever even remember her raising her voice towards my father. I don't know how she did that. It's very hard to do that even, among ourselves, but they loved each other, and my mom was always taking care of things. She had to, she loved flowers, but she'd take care of my dad, the house, and she'd take care of sometimes, if that wasn't enough, she'd take care of the neighbors' kids and babysitting, and she went from there, and she started taking care of older people, older homes. She was always there caring for someone. She had to. That was how she expressed her love, and always. And then she'd take care of. She needed a husband. I remember when my dad passed, how devastating it was. She came over to our house, and she was still grieving. But she always remembered that my wife liked purple. She heard that my wife liked the color purple. So, she came over and she saw that my wife's bathroom towels were white, and she said, "Well, that's not okay." So she took it on herself. She went and got some dye, and my wife came home. She had purple towels that she wasn't expecting, And she had a book that my brother-in-law had given my wife. He had gone to Germany, and it was an Anne Frank book. He got it from the Anne Frank house. It was very special. And it went missing one day, and my wife was frantically looking for it, And then a few days later, it came back, and there was love notes in there from my mom. And she was, I treasure those things now. Right at the time, it was a little shocking to my wife. But, she always just wanted to show you a little bit of love. Even the fat jokes. I mean, she was concerned, but she wanted to be, funny about it. She didn't want to be mean. She used to give me a big hug and say, "Oh, you're buff," you know. And she'd go, "Hello." You're buffalo, so. But, no, but you know, Proverbs 31:10 says that, you know, who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. I found one, you know. And yeah, that's true. And it says her children will arise and call her, you know, blessed. And every one of us have benefited from her example. You know, she had 5 boys. We all married one time. I've been married the least, over 20 years. And I truly believe that had we not had our parents, we would have had a lot more trouble. I think that's a testimony to our parents and the things that they instilled in us. You know? And I thank her for that. And I think my time's up, but yeah, she'll always be here, and we'll see her again. Thank you. God bless.
Good evening. I'm Joshua. I was the last son born for a few years. And then my brother, Zion came along, so. I got to spend a lot of time with her. My mom really protected me. She would take me everywhere with her. And she would do this, I think, because she knew at home I was getting beatings. Thank you, Sam, thank you. But I gotta say, you know, I have a little trepidation up here speaking, because last time I was up here in this pulpit, I think it was 28 years ago, and I started getting woozy. My brothers were over here, and hopefully if you see me getting woozy up here again, you'll catch me, because they didn't catch me last time. But I made it. I'm a survivor, all right? I like saying there was never a bad day with my mom. I mean, she was always happy, joyful, smiling. Rarely ever did she get mad. She rarely ever made a mistake. Just ask her. So let me tell you about my mom. You know, she was at St. Joseph's Hospital on Friday the 13th when she had that aneurysm, which was one of the worst days of her life. But 46 years prior, she had the best day of her life, St. Joseph's Hospital also. She had a son that was 7 pounds, 11 ounces. I like to say it was a late Christmas present. She would say the same thing. But even though we had a beautiful start, it got a little rocky there when I was about 2 years old. My mother was backing out of the driveway, and she had the back window open. And there wasn't seatbelts back then, or if there was, I didn't use them. I was 2 years old. I was standing in the back of the seat there, and my mom was pulling out. And for some reason, the window was open. I decided to look out, and I fell out, went underneath the car. My mother ran me over. Except she didn't run me completely over, thank God. She stopped right on my stomach. So she gets out of the car, she starts screaming and yelling. I guess she was trying to pull me out. My mom was strong now, very strong woman. She could do gymnastics, real strong legs. She couldn't pull me out from underneath the car. So she was screaming and screaming. And then brother Tommy Salazar came out. And luckily, he didn't run me completely over. He backed up. And so I survived again. And when I was about 3, I remember, my mother took me to Safeway, and there was one of those mechanical horses. So I was bugging my mom, hey mom, I want to go on that mechanical horse. It was a Safeway right there on Golf Links and Cole. She said, sure son. She reached in her purse, gave me a quarter. Well, I don't know if you ever rode those mechanical horses, but quarter didn't last very long. So she puts me on that horse. It was on the entrance to that Safeway. She sticks that quarter in. It starts going, having a good time. About 2 minutes later, that horse stops. Well, I was too small. I couldn't get down. So I'm stuck on the horse. Well, about 10 minutes later, I see my mom walking out of the Safeway. And I start screaming, Mom, Mom. She doesn't even look. She just gets in her vehicle and drives home. So I'm there on that horse crying. I still remember, by the way, and I was 3 years old. I'm crying. The officer comes up and he says, what's the problem? I said, my mom left me. So the officer goes, well, let's go get some ice cream. So he takes me to the Dairy Queen, gets me some ice cream, cheers me up. I said, this ain't too bad. This is all right. So we go have the ice cream, and then the officer goes, where do you live? Well, of course, I said, in a house. I didn't know where I lived. So then the officer goes, well, where does your dad work? And he did work at TEP at the time, but he also worked at the barbershop right there in that Safeway Plaza. He was only there maybe once, twice a week, but I told him barbershop. So he takes me back to the Safeway Plaza, goes around to that Golf Links barbershop, and lo and behold, who's there? My dad. He's just getting out of the car, getting ready to go in the shop, and he sees me, the cop holding me. Well, that's the last time a cop ever hold me, by the way. Never again. He goes, what are you doing with my son? And he said, well, your wife left him at the Safeway. He goes, no, she didn't, you're kidding. He said, no, I'm not kidding. She left him at the Safeway. He goes, all right, well. He grabs me, puts me in the car, drives home. He said, Josh, stay in the car. I think it was Joshy, he said. Joshy, just stay in the car. I said, okay. He goes in, he says, Olga, where's Joshy at? My mom says, Joshy's asleep in the room. And my dad says, what room? And she says, over there in the blue room. Well, my dad proceeds to go in there and says, Joshy's not here. Where's Joshy at? At that time, he goes out to the car and comes gets me. He says, come on in the house. And I hardly ever seen my dad ever mad at my mom, but he was furious. He said, you left him at the Safeway. And she just started crying. And then all was forgiven. Didn't matter that she had left me at the Safeway. I thought something was going to happen, like they're going to ground her or something. But nope, she was going to Segundas. Very next day, taking me with her. By the way, that was torture. I would go to Segundas for hours with my mom. And she would be there, and I'd get in between the clothes, and I'd say, please, Mom, it stinks in here. Let's go home. And she wouldn't go home. And then I would think that she would buy a bunch of stuff. No. She'd leave that store most of the time empty-handed. But now I find that I like that stinky smell, and I go into those Segundas, and I usually don't buy anything either. I'm not there that long, though. So, and my kids, they never got the joy of doing that. But I'm telling you, almost every day with my mom was a blessing. I remember I had a good job in Phoenix, and I got offered another job. I was opening up facilities. I got offered a job in Seattle at that time. It was in '98. It was when my father was really sick with cancer. And so I went to Seattle. I opened up the facility, and they said, just stay here. And my mom got a hold of me. She said, your dad is really, really sick. My brother was in Phoenix. I was in Phoenix. My other brother was in California. And so she asked me, she said, can you come? Can you come and move? And I was thinking, wow, I got this great job offer. So I said, well, Mom, let me think about it. So I told her, I said, I'll tell you what, Mom, I'll go and I'll apply at TEP. If they hire me, then I'll stay here with you. And if they don't, then I'll stay in Phoenix or maybe go up to Seattle. So they said, wow. They said, the offer is $80K I was like, wow, that was a lot of money back in 98. Well, I got a call. I went to the Union Hall, signed up. There was about 6,000 names. The lady at the Union Hall goes, oh, she said, you might be hearing a call in a couple years or so. But there's so many people ahead of you. I said, well, that's fine. When I left, about 3 days later, they called me up, told me to go take the test. I was like, wow, where did this come from? Went and took that test. I passed it, and they offered me the job. Of course, it wasn't $80K. It was $8 an hour. So in all my wisdom, I said, well, I made a promise to my mom. I'll take the $8 an hour. I did that, and I got a second job, but I was there with my mom. And I stayed there from 98 till about 2006 when she got remarried. I wouldn't change that for $80K, $80 million, $80 billion. It was awesome. And the Lord, He worked in mysterious ways because I put my house up for sale. 3 days later, it sold up in Phoenix. The lady wanted the house, all the furniture. I was so happy. I said, honey, let's sell that furniture with the house. She didn't want to do it. So I had to bring all that furniture with us, had to put stuff in storage, but it all worked out. I also want to thank my brother out because he lived 4 houses down. I handed off my mother to Andy, and he took good care of her. But about the last 6, 7 years, my brother's been taking her to all the hospital visits, taking her to the Walmarts. Every once in a while, I'd fill in. I tell you, that Walmart visit, it'd take hours because she'd stop, talk to every person in that store. And now you know where I got it from. So yeah, she talked to everybody. She testified to them. She'd teach them Spanish. They all loved her. So I just want to thank my brother personally and thank my wife. You know, you think that when I got there that my mom was going to be on my side most of the time because you hear that mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws don't get along. Well, that didn't happen in my family. A lot of times, my mother and my wife, they would gang up on me. So, again, I was a loser there. So I knew my place. So my mom, you know, she was a referee sometimes, a chef, a coach, a banker, caregiver, magician. I said she was a gymnast. She could dance like no other. She was a wife, a driver, a cheerleader, parishioner, a friend, very good friend, babysitter. At times, she was a disciplinarian. Not really to me, though. She rarely disciplined me. I was a good child, believe it or not. Probably the best of the 4. I'm not just saying that because I'm up here. It's the truth. Ask them. So how do you replace someone like that? Hey, you really don't. There's really no way to replace her. All we have is her memories. A friend of mine gave me a parable, a mother's parable. I'm going to read it here today in closing. Thank you for the parable. I appreciate it. It said, it's a mother's parable. It's the young mother set her foot on the path of life. Is the way long, she asked? And her guide said, yes, and the way is hard. And you'll be old before you reach the end of it. But the end will be better than the beginning. But the young mother was happy, and she would not believe that anything could be better than these years. So she played with her children and gathered flowers for them along the way. It's one of my favorite parts, because that's definitely what my mom did. And bathed with them in the streams, and the sun shone on them, and life was good. The young mother cried, nothing will ever be lovelier than this. Then night came, and the storm, and the path was dark. The children shook with fear and cold, and their mother drew them close and covered them with her mantle. And the children said, "Oh, mother, we're not afraid, for you are near, and no harm can come." And the mother said, "This is better than the brightest of days, for I have taught my children courage." And the mother came, and there was a hill ahead. The children climbed and grew weary, and the mother was weary. But at all times she said to the children, "A little patience, and we are there." So the children climbed, and when they reached the top, they said, "We could not have done it without you, mother." And the mother, when she lay down that night, looked up at the stars and said, "This is a better day than the last, for my children have learned fortitude in the face of difficulty. Yesterday I gave them courage, today I have given them strength." And the next day came strange clouds which darkened the earth, clouds of war and hate and evil. And the children groped and stumbled, and the mother said, "Look up, lift your eyes to the light." And the children looked and saw above the clouds an everlasting glory. And it guided them beyond the darkness. And that night the mother said, "This is the best day of all, for I have shown my children God." And the days went on, and the months and the years, and the mother grew old, and she was small and bent. But her children were strong and tall and walked with courage. And when the way was hard, they helped their mother. And when the way was rough, they lifted her. As she was as light as a feather, and at last they came to a hill. And beyond that hill they could see a shining road and golden gates flung wide open. And the mother said, "I have reached the end of my journey. I know that the end is better than the beginning, for my children can walk alone, and their children after them." And their children said, "You will always walk with us, Mother, even when you have gone through the gates." And they stood and watched her as she went on alone, and the gates closed after her. And they said, "We cannot see her, but she is with us. A mother like ours is more than a memory. She is a living presence." Amen. I believe that with all my heart. I thank everyone for being here. I thank my family and friends. I also thank my Tucson Electric Power family. They have offered their condolences. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. I'm Israel. I'm the oldest. Josh likes to think he was the favorite. I think I should have been the favorite. But my mom always treated us equally. She always treated people equally. That was one of the great things about her. She had what Malcolm Gladwell refers to as a generous orthodoxy. It means it didn't matter, if you're a Christian, if you're a Protestant, if you're a Catholic, it didn't matter if you're Buddhist, she was loving, she was accepting of all. And I think that love started with her relationship with my father. They referred to each other as rey and reina. That means king and queen. And that's exactly the way they treated each other. We saw that love every day of our love. And we were able to pattern our own lives and our own relationships on that strong, strong foundation of love. And that's what I thank her for more than anything else, for being so accepting, so loving, for treating us all equally, even though, I thought that since I got the best grades, I should have been treated a little better. But no, that's not what happened. So my wife, Christine, and the other wives of all my brothers, I think have benefited from the fact that we got to grow up in that loving family. And that's why we've been together so long. So I think that, more than anything else, is my mom's legacy. All the wonderful grandchildren that she had. My mom not only picked flowers and planted flowers and loved flowers, but she was all about preparing the soil. So in our backyard, whenever she was ahead of her time, whenever we had compost, whenever we had leftovers, she'd make me or one of my brothers go in the backyard, dig a hole, stick it in there, and bury it. I hated that. It was smelly, and it was just a nasty job. And then if you weren't careful walking around in the backyard, you might step in one of those holes, and your foot might end up covered with, eggshells or who knows what, right? But that prepared the soil. That gave the soil the nutrients it needed to grow all the beautiful plants and flowers that she loved so much. So, and this is what happened with us. I think she had, 5 boys. Those boys were lucky enough to find 5 women who could tolerate them. And then have these wonderful grandchildren who are incredibly impressive. I could stand up here and brag about them, but I won't do that. But I'm just gonna say we've got a wonderful family, and we owe that all to my mom and dad. So I was supposed to back cleanup and come up last, and I was supposed to rebut anything that wasn't completely accurate. That's how I keep my brothers in line. It's always my job as the oldest to keep them in line. They didn't appreciate it, but everything they've said today is true. And, I couldn't be more proud and blessed to have had such a wonderful mom, such a wonderful dad, and the kind of family we had. And we owe that. We owe that all to her. I appreciate everyone who's here. My beautiful tias sitting on the front row, all my mom's friends, and everybody who's streaming online, being safe, social distancing, masking. Thank you, everyone. We've got almost a full house here today, and that's a wonderful thing. So without further ado, I'm not sure who comes next, but no corrections, no rebuttal necessary.
Okay, yeah. No, we're kind of winging it, folks. That's all right. All right, sweetheart.
I figure in Nana fashion, the boys have spoken, but we know she got the last word at home, so might as well speak for the sister-in-laws and the grandkids. I'm Joanna, by the way, for those who don't necessarily know who I am. I married Danny Joe, and at 19, you don't make a lot of smart decisions at 19, but I made a lucky one. That was where I was going with that. I made a lucky one. I was blessed to marry into the Ramirez family, and I was blessed to have Nana as a mother-in-law. We talked about how she was always trying to teach people Spanish. Well, in our home, I knew when Nana switched to Spanish, she wasn't talking about me. She was like scolding the boys. So she made us all feel very comfortable, and she was very supportive of us. And we did get unique husbands, I think, as a result of Nana's mothering. Just 5 boys. She was a very tough woman. And at 19, I was very sensitive. 4 sisters, weepy all the time. Nana didn't cry about much. She wasn't offended by much. She wasn't fazed by much. So she had a very laissez-faire, just didn't worry. She didn't stress. She didn't have that anxiety. She had peace, even in raising her boys who, were jumping out of car windows and doing various things from young ages. She was very relaxed, and she became my Goodwill buddy, not just Josh's, okay? But she would always be game to go shopping and looking for beauty. And one thing I admire about my mother-in-law is, though she was beautiful, and she knew she was beautiful, she found beauty in the simplest things. She wasn't prideful. She didn't need the fanciest. She wasn't high maintenance or a diva. She'd find beauty at Goodwill. She'd find beauty in a little baby at the Walmart. She'd find beauty wherever she went, and she was looking for it. Even we drive through the neighborhood and see her walking with Andy. Nana would never be on the sidewalk. She's like in the landscaping, looking for flowers, just searching wherever she went. And she was the fun grandma. I remember my mom coming to visit, and Nana was there with the kids. Like, she put one of the boys on a blanket, and we had a circular floor plan. She'd drag the blanket and run around the house, dragging the kids around the house. And I was full of anxiety. They're gonna bang into the wall, and she's gonna crack someone's head open. But no, her boys all came out okay, so she treated our boys. She'd throw them in the air with her legs. I only had a few photos, but she'd kick them in the air and throw them on the sofa, and we'd all be worried, but Nana had it under control. And my mom looked at me, and she's like, Joanna, I'll never be the fun grandma. I'm like, Mom. She's like, I read and color. I said, that's okay. Everybody's different. Nana's unique. You know, she's special. That's okay. She's one of a kind, and I think we were all very blessed by that. And she did love the unexpected. You know, we lived a few houses up, and even when we were in Phoenix, you always knew Nana arrived. You know, there was never any not noticing her. She'd bang on the doorbell. We all work from home, and a lot of you are probably experiencing that now. You're working at home, it's a remote environment, but when Nana arrived, whatever time of day, you know, she made that grand entrance, and everybody was aware Nana's here. And even banging on the piano or dancing in the living room, we'd have our family get-togethers. And regardless, we spent more quality time with her in her later years, you know, but even then, he'd put her on the VR, the virtual racing, and she'd, you know, be on the headset. She was willing to try anything. She wouldn't say no to experiencing something. She'd get dizzy and she'd have to sit down, but it was worth the moment of dancing or experiencing that. She was always game to try things no matter her age. She wasn't fearful, you know, she wasn't too proud to look silly or too afraid to try something new, and that's just qualities I admire to be around. And we spoke earlier about her loving beauty and picking flowers and how beautiful she is. We were assembling the slideshow and just seeing her smile. Anyways, growing old was kind of hard for her because she was so beautiful younger. We'd laugh. She's 77. She's like, I need my peach fuzz waxed, or I want my eyebrows done. You know, she that eternal youth, and she wanted that. She didn't, you know, she was so full of life that she did have a harder time, I think, with aging and slowing down because she was such an active, lively person. Danny had mentioned spending some time with her at the hospital at the end, and so it was Thursday evening before the rupture that I was there with her, and she was a little quieter, and there was a blanket on the bed. I had brought it from home. One of my, you know, not pretty blankets, because I was like, well, if it gets lost, then at least, you know, if it gets trashed, it's no big deal. But one of the things then she said to me the night before, she was not responding anymore. She's like, move that blanket, it's ugly. She didn't want it on top. I could be under or full, but it was ugly, so I had to remove it. She just wanted pretty things. And I was coloring just a picture. I brought a coloring book of all these pretty ladies and flowers, and you know, I'd be coloring, and then she'd want to see it, and then she'd kind of rest a little, and then she'd want to see it again. And even then, she just loved, I mean, it's just a coloring sheet, but she just loved that beauty and appreciated it, even just something as simple as that. And just, I was the other day with Christina, we were talking about Nana's, that last little bit there, and it was sudden. Maybe it was a few days there, but it was very sudden to all of us. And I remember thinking that for Nana, there was no grudges. Like, I don't remember ever leaving her or knowing anyone that I have to make something right with somebody. You never left Nana on the wrong foot. You always knew she loved you, and the kids always knew that she loved them. Like, it didn't matter if you didn't get to say that. Anytime you parted, like, you never left on bad terms. Nana always walked out of your house smiling, laughing, happy. And so that's one of the things that I would strive for, is that at the end of the day, regardless of when that day is, if it's at 77 or any time, that there's nothing there's no one you need to see to make right with, because your partings are happy, and you've already expressed that love repeatedly at every gathering, at every meeting, at every time you were together. So it makes this a bit easier, you know, because you don't have that weight on you. She loved you, and you knew that, and even if you didn't spend much time with her. So I know my experience with Nana is maybe different from the boys or her sisters, but she was an absolute blessing. I'm sure my daughter-in-laws would echo me. We're extremely lucky in our mother-in-law. When we ever question our spouses, we just are thankful for how she trained them. They're just very strong, entertaining, okay? And when you have that sense of humor, when you're ups and downs, I think all of us can speak for that. And the boys, actually, entertaining. My boys have done the Walmart runs with Nana during the pandemic. They're like, she kisses all the babies. She talks to everyone. So she's just that welcoming spirit, and we just wanted to share that, the blessing that she's been to us. So thank you, whoever was next.
Okay. So now at this time, we want to just open the mic to anyone that would like to say a little something. I know it's getting probably a little long for us, but, you know, a little brevity as far as keeping it short, but we appreciate if anybody wants to come up and say a little something. Okay, yeah.
So thank you guys for coming. I know that Nana really would have loved to see you all here, but you're gonna have to bear with me. It's kind of hard to keep it together, but we moved in with Nana when I was just a little kid. I didn't really understand what was going on, and if she was having a hard time without our tata there, she never really let us see it. You know, Nana was like the superhero that could lift us up and always taking us on adventures. And, you know, to the dollar store or the corner store, chasing us around the house. If she caught you, you know, if she had a little head scratcher, she'd mess up your hair. And she was always full of laughs and always picking flowers. I don't think that got stated enough. The only thing that she ever, you know, told us was more beautiful or more handsome than the flowers was, you know, us grandkids and all the cousins and the family. No matter where you were at, if she saw you, her face lit up. And, oh, man. We had times where we never planned anything. We'd get together and, oh, let's go over to the cousin's house, and we'd, you know, gather everyone around, and Nana would be front and center, enjoying knocking on everybody's doors. It's at like 10 o'clock at night. Come on, come outside. We got to get a picture. Oh, man, she loved family. She loved our friends. And even when she got older, and she, you know, it was harder for her to move around and whatnot, she didn't ever show that, not to us. Whenever we left, so it was time to say goodbye to Nana, she'd always gather us together, you know, for a picture, but besito, besito, give me a kiss. And as she got older, she didn't have to ask anymore. That was natural, go up to Nana, give her a kiss goodbye. So the last time I got to talk to her, you know, gave her a hug. And it used to be that she'd be the one to give me kisses on the forehead and on the cheek, and I had to bend over and give her a kiss. And I said, bye, Nana, I love you. I'll see you again. See you later. And I will see her later, and we'll all get to see her later. And you know that she'll greet us with a laugh, and her face will light up again, and it'll be like nothing has changed. We'll get to tell her about all the adventures that we had along the way. She'll be watching us, but, you know, she'll love to hear the stories. And she was never shy to say how proud she was of us. You know, I'm amazed at what we accomplished, how many things that she wanted for us. She never wanted of us. It was always what she wanted for us, wanted better. And so she never was afraid to tell us, oh, you could do better, oh, you could do this, and you could accomplish it. She wasn't afraid. She knew that we could do it. But she'd be, and I know she is, she's so happy knowing that she gets to watch all of us now all the time. She gets to be with us all the time, because that really was her favorite thing. And she was such a presence, you know. You know, when she entered, like Auntie Joanna said, doorbell would ring a million times, but there was nothing better than when we were all together. And now she's with all of us all the time, so. I love you, Nana, and I'll see you again someday. And until then, I know she's picking all the flowers and planting them wherever she can go. So I'll see her around, and I'll see her everywhere. Every little 99-cent store that we pass, the corner store, going to buy popsicles. She'll always be there. She'll always be here. And it's too bad. I mean, I thought I'd be able to be, you know, in my 30s showing her her great-grandchildren one day. But she'll get to meet them. I'm not worried. So, I love you guys. Thank you for coming. It means the world to me. And sorry for crying so much. But thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah, Sam's and Christina's daughter. I just want to thank everybody for coming, and you know, it's really a blessing just to see everybody in this room right now, because we all loved her so much. And as Auntie Joanna said, she was the fun grandma. I always thought of her as the fun grandma, because, you know, she was always so outgoing, and there was just never a down moment, really, you know. It was just so enlightening just being in a room with her. You knew if Nana showed up, you were gonna have a good time. I mean, that was really just the gist of it. My Nana was a beautiful, strong, a great grandmother, and a great mother. She raised 5 boys, and even though she wanted a girl, she was blessed with the same number of granddaughters. So she had 5 boys, and she got 5 granddaughters in return. And I know she loved all of us so much. And you know, like they said, my Nana wasn't a rule follower, so I know that she wouldn't want us to be sad right now. She would probably want us to be happy that she's with God right now, but that is not the case. I know that she loves every single person who came today and who visited her in the hospital. I want to say thank you guys for that, because, you know, it was really hard to see her in that condition, and, you know, just having people come and knowing that we had emotional support with us was really a blessing, because, you know, sometimes we needed to step out of the room, but we didn't want to leave her alone. But there was always somebody in the room with her, which made us feel comfort and at peace that she wasn't alone. But you know, it's hard to believe that she's gone because it just happened so fast, but it was time for her to go home, even though we don't want it to be that way, but it's just how it goes, you know. Everybody has to go home at some point, and unfortunately hers was this month. You know, Nana was a very patient person. I mean, she would try to teach me how to play piano, she tried to teach me how to sew, and even though it didn't go as well, she was very patient, and she never told me I was doing a bad job, you know. She'd go, oh, so beautiful, that looks so great. Even though, you know, when I was sewing, my lines were probably going like that, but she didn't care because she was proud of me, and yeah. As Isaiah 41:10 says, don't worry, I am with you. Don't be afraid, I am your God. I will make you strong and help you. I will support you with my right hand that brings victory. Amen. So we are never alone, even with God, even though in some circumstances it may feel like it, but we are never alone. So thank you again for being here, and we love you, Nana, and besitos.
Hey everybody, I'm Isaiah. I'm Danny Joe's oldest. Thanks for coming. I know it's getting a little late, so I'll try and be a little brief. But being with Nana, and living 3 doors down was definitely an experience. As my mom said, you always knew when she arrived. Didn't matter if you were in a meeting, it didn't matter what you were doing, you needed the house to be quiet, you knew she was here. Probably the doorbell would ring, I don't know, probably upwards of 10 times in a row. It was great. And as they said, she was not afraid. She was not afraid to try something new. Even when she was getting older, they gave her the experience, the VR. The one experience that I remember seeing her trying something new was one of my dad's new passions was like simulated racing. So where we actually had a steering wheel and pedals to a car. And there was a game that I personally had really enjoyed with them, and we decided to let her give it a shot because she wasn't driving that much as she got older. And I was one of the people that took her to her Walmart or Golden Corral. I took her a lot of those. Well, it just so happened that this game took place in England, and we tried, and we was like, here, you can drive, and it was probably the greatest experience just watching her sit there, try and drive, and then like seeing the oncoming traffic and her realizing this is not how we drive. They're on the wrong side of the road, and every time the car would not even be anywhere close to her, and it'd probably be 200 meters away, and she would just be terrified that this car was coming in, but she'd always get back up on that wheel, and it was incredibly entertaining. And I guess it didn't help that we also decided to put her into a supercar. So every time she barely touched the pedal, the car would start taking off, and she would all over again. Any turn, she would panic, but she would get right back on that thing, and she'd try it. But it was just, for a good 10, 15 minutes, she'd just try it, even though it scared her every time. She would just try it. She was never one to be there quietly.
She would never just sit in the corner. She was always the center. It didn't matter what what we were doing when we were together. She would always be either on the piano, she'd always be trying to help with something. She was someone that did not like to have an idle hand. She was a big part of all of our lives, even when we were when we were far away. She was always thinking of us. She was always there for us and for whatever we were doing. And we all know we'll get to see her again one day. She may be gone from this world, but she's still here. She's just on everybody's shoulders. She'll be with us when we leave here. We each go our separate ways. She will be here with all of us. She will always be watching. She'll always be celebrating, even in the smallest moments. She'll be celebrating with us. Yeah, thank you all.
Good evening. My name is Noé Gagiola, and I am the son of Efrain and Maria Gagiola, which is the oldest brother of the family. And I firmly believe that it's always the right thing to do and talk about people that are very influential in your life and respect them in that manner. It is a little bit intimidating talking behind a pulpit, but I'm going to do my best. I believe that's what this is called, right? So my tia is a very special woman to me. She and her home was always live, energetic. There was always a lot of activity there, lots of love and family and friends and neighbors. I see some of them here today. The Martinez family, the neighbors to the west of her home. I'm going to remember her beautifully placed teeth. I'm going to remember her beautiful smile. I'm going to remember her kind of hug and hit, the way that she would laugh. I'm going to remember how gracious her, they're not skirts, but they're long dresses, how gracious they would flow when she walked. I'm going to remember how athletic she was. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to remember our last conversation. It was at my dad's birthday. And I was making the rounds, giving lots of people that I love back scratches. I was scratching her back a lot. She liked it. She was eating some shell pasta. And she was talking about how good it was. She really had a good time that day with her. She used to get, what's interesting is that when I was like 7 years old, I would ride the bus by myself, the city bus, to go visit my cousins and my tia. She took me to church. They used to have this sliding glass door at the beginning of the hallway, and she would tuck me in there. She was a wonderful woman. I'm going to remember her. At that party, my dad's party, she was telling me about how her grandchildren, her son, would take her to eat meat at the Golden Corral. And we started talking about this internet sensation kid from Mexico, and he's the No Pasa Nada kid. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but he's this young man who drives around kind of erratic through the streets of Mexico, and he tells everybody, no pasa nada, no pasa nada. We had a great conversation about that. She was always willing to learn, just like you guys were talking about with regards to the virtual. She was really, really cool. I used to ride the bus by myself to go visit her. Thank you all for coming.
Good evening. My name is Urol Gagiola, otherwise known as Harold. I came here today to let you guys know that I really loved my tia Olga. And I believed she loved me just as she loved everyone here. Coming here, I was overwhelmed with the amount of memories that I had growing up with her, growing up with the cousins, Israel, Danny Joe, Joshua, Sammy. We were all together. Sometimes she would even say that I was her sixth son. She would take me around here at the church when everyone else was scattered. She would grab me, take me from person to person, introduce me. I had flaming red hair at the time. It's all gone now. But I had flaming red hair, and she would show it off. She was really happy about it. It was curly. She would stick her fingers in it. At the time, it was annoying, but I saw how much she enjoyed it. And so I stuck around, and I could see from the corner of the eyes, like the cousins laughing and having a good time about it. But, those are things that I remember and I forget. But I don't want to forget them. I don't want to forget about going to those segundas, with the cousins, having mace placed in my eyes, jumping around inside the car, flopping like a fish, getting taken to I think it was a gas station, and she was washing out my eyes. And then she would look at me and she says, "Ay, qué malcriado eres. You took me away from the shopping." I mean, those are the things I remember most about her. She was a wonderful lady, truly wonderful lady. And for me, it was truly a blessing to know her. I sent messages to family members in California, over there in Sinaloa, where she was born, and the family members over there sent her condolences, but each one of them said to me that she was blessed, and I truly believe that. She was truly blessed. And I feel blessed for have known her, for have shared her with me, for have, she tried really hard to teach me the Bible, and she brought me here. She took me to the Marble Club. That was one of the first restaurants that we've ever gone to, or that I ever gone to, and we had to lose a few there. And one thing that reminds me so much about her is that I don't know if she would order her own meal, because she was always asking for a taste from everyone else's. Always. My last remembering of her, I was trying to remember what was the last thing, and it was a party at Joshua's house for his children, and we were sitting there in the I guess right there in the kitchen in that square table that they had, and I asked her if she had eaten yet, and she said, "Oh no," that she would just get something from me, she would just. As she would say, "Nomás quiero una probadita," right? So I went out and I went and grabbed all this food that I could for her, and I brought it to her. And she's like, "Ay, qué vergüenza." And then I would look at her and I said, "Tia, do you want me to put it back?" "Oh no, mijo, it's already here." So she was fun. I loved her so much. And I truly want everyone here to know that she is and was blessed. Blessed by God, blessed by a family, blessed by brothers and sisters. She had so many. My understanding was that she was also the authoritative person in the family. She'd whip them. She whipped me. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, she had a belt that she was swinging all over the place and hitting everyone. I don't remember if it was Israel or Dan Joe who came and took it from her. But I think she enjoyed that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening to my memories. And I'm sure everyone here has a memory similar, because she was a wonderful lady. Thank you.
Ivan, why don't you come up now, and then you can speak afterward and sing the song that you want to sing. Come on now.
So sorry. Whenever I saw my tia, Olga, I always got 2 hugs. When she would see me, she'd, "Oh, little Nat, give me a hug." And then when I was leaving, she said, "Oh, give me a hug. Give me a hug. When are we going to see you again?" And she'd give me another hug. She gave the most amazing hugs. They were comforting, they were loving, and they were reassuring. Thank you, Tia. I love you.
Thank you all for coming. I have so many experiences and character building experiences with her. It just, I love my sister. I really do. She showed me a lot. She was my example. It was something beautiful when I was a young kid. And this is really something. I was a little boy and I could hear her voice. And both of them would come up and sing. It was wonderful. They both could, I'm talking about Irma and Olga. They could sing, and they could worship the Lord. They just loved it, and it was my example. I love them. I love my sister, and it's just shocking to me. It's just so all of a sudden, you know. But that's the way it is. And I have so many things to say, and yet all I could do is prepare a song, and I haven't sang in a while because I had an accident at work, and bleachers caught my hands, and I asked the Lord for healing, and He healed my hand, except for the C chord, and I can't. The C, I've been trying, but I can't get on C, so I have to just like playing D or Mi, Re, Do. No Do porque me duele. It hurts a lot. So I prepared a song for her. It is something that is Gagiolas, I would say, we sing especially. A ver si me queda. And I got this song, and I got my wife to write it for me because I got this 2 bifocal, and all of a sudden it appears. real near and then real far, and I have to go back and forth. Anyway, este es para Olga y es para mi familia. This is for Olga and my family. And let me say this, that Olga was a free flower. It was something when Danny passed away, I could see she was different. She was just free. She was everywhere. So I told her, Olga, whenever Desert Palms is too far and you're around here, just knock on the door. Just come in. And she did that many times. She would blah, blah, blah at church, and then she'd go to the house and sleep over with Elizabeth, and so this is a song for her. And for us, it's got a message. It's really something for us. And this is a D chord, which Cuando termine mi jornada en este mundo, alabaré a Dios con el amor profundo. Cuando llegare a la ciudad santa de Sion, recibiré una corona de bendición. Aunque todos me desprecien por el bien, ciertamente al Cordero he de ver. En su trono alabaré su nombre santo. De hermosura me vestiré con su manto. Todas las gentes me desprecian por su nombre. No han comprendido nuestro Dios, Él no es hombre. El día se llega cuán perplejos quedarán al ver a Cristo, Rey de gloria que vendrá. Aunque todos me desprecien por el bien, ciertamente al Cordero he de ver. En su trono alabaré su nombre santo. De hermosura me vestiré con su manto. This next verse is for us. Si tú le buscas, hallarás revelación que te conduce hasta las puertas de Sion. El precio está pagado ya para tu entrada. Cuando termines tú también en tu jornada. Aunque todos me desprecien por el bien, ciertamente al Cordero he de ver. en su trono alabaré tu nombre santo. Hermosura me vestiré con su manto. De hermosura me vestiré con su manto. And I sang this song with her. She accompanied me with this song many, many times. And she told me, sing it for me. And I've been singing it for Mom. Julio is my brother, Mexico. And it started something in my life. But thank you very much for being here. It reminds me of that March service we had that day for Danny. It was packed. God bless you all. Dios les bendiga.
So, some of you may not even know who I am. Never even seen me before in your life. Some of you just met me the other day, and very few of you have known me for 2 years. And don't know who I am. I'm the boyfriend of the beautiful woman right there, Sarah. And I was never lucky enough to have the opportunity to meet any of her grandmothers. And from hearing all of the stories that you guys have told us this afternoon, this evening, I really wish I had the opportunity to. Not too long ago, Sam and Christina, they have opened my eyes. I have seen the light of Jesus Christ, and I couldn't think of him enough. And with that, I truly believe that one day I'll have the opportunity to meet them. I really do. And hopefully that isn't anytime soon, but one day when I'm walking around with a cane, barely able to remember anything, that day I'm sure I will be able to see them with my own eyes. And I can't wait. From hearing all the stories that you guys had to say today, I'm kind of jealous a little bit. I really wish I had the opportunity to see her and Christina's mother. I was a little too late for that, but one day, I really hope so. With that out of the way, I'm really, truly happy to be a part of the Ramirez family, and yes, it's a great family. Thank you guys for everything, especially Sam and Chris. They've done a lot for me in my life. They've saved me from a dark hole I used to be in, but now I'm very faithful, very hopeful, and I really do believe I got a bright future ahead of me, and I'm glad to have you guys a part of that. Thank you. Also, you may think I'm crazy a little bit, but I do kind of feel that love from Olga. I play movies in my head of, having the opportunity to meet her and how it would go down. And I just hope that comes someday. And yeah, thank you guys, and sorry to keep you, but yeah.
I would never usually speak in front of a lot of people, so bear with me because I didn't really prepare anything because I wasn't expecting to do this, but I feel Nana in this room with us, and she's telling me to be fearless like her. Feel like fearless and bold enough to go to the 99-cent store, buy hair dye, and then come out with green and purple hair, walk around and not care. Fearless enough to steal probably a dozen cups from the Golden Corral and then not care. I'll keep it brief because I know we've been here a while, but did I say I'm her granddaughter? Sam and Christina's daughter. I was lucky enough to spend like 4 hours with Nana the day before she had the aneurysm, and the entire time the nurse was in the room, and she just kept saying, any nurse who came in, do you have any grandchildren? Because I have 13, and they're all beautiful, and they're all smart, and it's just, even in her last moments, she was just spreading love, thank you. She was spreading love and just kind of boasting about us and her family. In the last days when she was in like kind of a coma, you would think from brain aneurysm and having how much pressure she had in her head, when we were all gathered around and laughing and talking about stories, she shouldn't have been able to move, but she was spinning her feet in circles to let us know that she was with us, and she was hearing us, and that she loved us, and that she was there. Me and Theo Josh were lucky enough that we were the ones with her when she passed. And when Theo Josh was in the bathroom, probably like 2 hours before she died, I made sure to tell Nana, I said, we all love you, Nana, and we all know that you love us. And thank you for loving us, and thank you for everything. And I just wanted to say that because those were the last words she heard, and I just wanted you all to know that even if you didn't get to see her when she was at the center at the hospital, that those were the last things she heard, and so she knew that all of us loved her, and yeah, I think that's all I have to say, but love you all, and thank you for coming.
Okay, well, once again, we certainly appreciate the fact that you've all come, and I know there's probably more people that want to tell stories. We are going to have a luncheon tomorrow at 12 o'clock at the KOA campground on Country Club. So if you have any questions as far as that, just give us a call. We really do appreciate some of the folks that we haven't seen in a very long time being here. She loved all of you, and thank you very much once again for the music, and we appreciate you. And so I think with that, maybe you can put a song on the piano. Anything, doesn't really matter, but thanks for coming. She lived a beautiful life, and we're all blessed for knowing her, and we do hope that that you'll be there with us tomorrow. So I'm sure that we'll have a few more stories and videos even of the character that my mom was and had. So thank you very much for coming. You're all dismissed. We love you all. Thank you.